Hello, this is Paul from Now Gamer.
And this is John from GameCM.
And this is the Gears of War 4 beta, which you've been playing, John.
Yeah.
So, what have your impressions of it been so far?
And the first thing to say about it is it feels like Gears of War, like
Okay.
through and through, 100%, like it never even changed hands, which of course is what has happened. It's left Epic, Microsoft bought up the rights, and it's now with the Coalition, which is a relatively untested team with a fair few veteran developers, and most importantly led by Rod Ferguson, who worked on the original trilogy.
Okay. And, I mean, does it feel... obviously, you said it feels similar, but are there any slight differences in terms of the way it handles and feels?
Not really.
No?
They've tried incredibly hard to make it feel as close to Gears 3 as possible. Something I spoke to the team about. Because they couldn't just transport the code from Unreal Engine 3 to Unreal Engine 4.
Right.
They actually had to create a thing where they mirrored it. And
Right,
they created the new animations, then laid them on top of the old ones, tried and match them as closely as possible.
Okay.
So they are working, like, it might seem like they've done nothing to make it better, but the amount of effort that's taken to actually make it as close as possible is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. I wonder if that's a good idea, like, to just make the same game again, basically.
Well, at least in terms of the way it handles, I think the key what they are doing is they're adding some different weapons and some different modes. So
Okay.
one of the things that happened with the Emulsion event from Gears of War 3 is that the more organic weapons no longer work. They just don't exist anymore. So they've replaced those with more mechanical ones. There's a thing called the drop shot, which is like a little drill that you fire out, and then when you let go of the trigger, it drills into the ground and creates an explosion. It's
that's cool.
very kind of bloody sort of thing, but it's quite good for getting over cover, so that it kind of negates cover as a thing that can protect you. So that's quite a cool little weapon. And there's apparently going to be a bunch of those types of things that just replace classic weapons from Gears of War that were related to Locust that no longer play because they're not the villain anymore. So that'll be interesting.
Okay. And you mentioned new modes as well?
New modes, so yeah. I mean, we played a lot of Deathmatch, obviously that's available in the beta, but the other key game is Dodgeball. And Dodgeball's a really nice game. It's got nothing to do with playing a sport,
right.
It's just the mechanic, and which is a one-in, one-out mechanic of if you die, you don't respawn unless one of your allies kills an opponent, and then you get respawned. So you can get these amazing situations where you get like 4-on-1, but if your one guy gets a kill, then it's 2-on-3, and then the game can turn. So yeah, just one in, one out. It makes a really frantic, exciting match. They can last a minute. They could last 20 minutes. If you just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And of course, the map design on Gears is very tight. It's quite shallow. There's not a lot of sort of verticality to it, so it gets very compacted. Lots of big firefights going on. So yeah, it's a pretty cool mode.
Okay, so it sounds like you enjoyed the multiplayer beta overall.
I think it looks really good. I think apparently they're still working to optimize it to 60 frames per second, so it's a little bit below that at the minute, but they've got a long time to launch, and it's like at least 6 months, I think, until the game comes out. So plenty of time for them to fix that, and they're very confident they will. The Gears of War Ultimate Edition released at 60 frames per second, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, that's a good start. Hopefully, I mean, obviously we've only seen multiplayer, but hopefully we'll see some of those new ideas brought forward, into the main game as well. Yeah. I guess there's not that much you can judge from what we're going to see in the campaign for the multiplayer
not really,
so far.
No. If they're matching it in terms of animations, it's going to feel like properly like Gears of War. They did talk a little bit about some of the things they are adding. Basically, they've had time, because they've only really had a couple of years to get this game off the ground, having bought the license. They've had time to add in one little technical element, and that's this whole windstorm thing. We didn't get to see it. We're not seeing it in the beta. It's not a thing that's in the multiplayer, but it's the one kind of big graphical, spectacular element of the single player campaign that we can sort of look forward to.
So there's these like gigantic storms that are a result of what happened in the last game, but
absolutely.
we don't really know what it means in terms of gameplay.
It's definitely going to affect things. It's going to make cover harder. It's going to move the world around in a new way, but basically it's just going to embellish what we already know about Gears of War rather than changing how we play it.
I'm bleeding up.